Any problem, anytime.
Now, from Nebraska's trusted news source, this is Channel 8 News Midday.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. We begin with breaking news. Lincoln police reporting another shooting in our city. LPD says a teenager was shot in the head after a fight broke out in the parking lot of a popular sports complex. This is now the third reported shooting in Lincoln in less than a week. Officials say this all started at Seacrest Field near 70th and A Street around 7:30 last night. LPD says while a group of teens was arguing over a feud that started online, a 15-year-old in a mask stepped out of a car and fired at another vehicle. LPD was able to locate the teen suspect and take him into custody. He faces second-degree assault along with several other charges. The 17-year-old victim is expected to be okay. This comes after a pair of shootings in Lincoln last weekend that killed 2 people. LPD says they've made no arrests in either case. The nation rallied around the community of Uvalde, Texas today after the deadly shooting at an elementary school, leaving 19 children and 2 teachers dead. As more details emerge, the country is wondering why this happened and how to prevent the next one. The mother of the gunman, Salvador Ramos, told ABC News her son could be aggressive if he got really mad and gave her uneasy feelings sometimes, leaving the country wondering about missed warning signs. Complicating this even further, we know now the gunman had been in contact with a 15-year-old girl in Germany outlining his plan. Meta, parent company of Facebook, says the messages were one-to-one texts, not public posts. With these potential warning signs, the debate about gun control has since been renewed. And this comes as President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden are heading to Uvalde in the wake of this mass shooting. The president is again calling for the passage of sensible bipartisan gun laws in Congress. But ABC's M. Wynn reports many Senate Republicans still seem opposed to passing legislation that would restrict Americans' access to guns.
President Biden pleading to get assault-style rifles off the streets.
The idea that an 18-year-old can walk into a store and buy weapons of war designed and marketed to kill is, I think, just wrong.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott insists, though, guns were not the problem in the Uvalde school massacre.
We have a problem with mental health illness in this community.
Abbott's words sparking outrage as his opponent in the race for Texas Governor Beto O'Rourke interrupted his press conference. The 18-year-old shooter in Uvalde had bought 2 AR-15s right after turning of age. But some elected officials refused to even address the question or offer any solutions to the mass shootings occurring in the country.
Do you support expanded background checks?
Senator Sinema, do you support changing the Senate rules in order to pass gun control legislation? Can you assure the American people that this time something will get done?
I can't assure the American people there's any law we can pass to stop this shooting.
The inaction by members of Congress is in stark contrast to what Americans want. New polling after the shooting by Politico and Morning Consult shows 88% of people do want background checks, and 84% say they want to prevent sales of firearms to people reported as dangerous. There still may be a legislative path forward, as moderate Democratic Senator Joe Manchin signaled he would be open to discuss scrapping the filibuster if both sides of the aisle can't come to an agreement on gun control. The NRA is meeting in Houston tomorrow, not far from where the shooting happened. The headliner, former President Trump, is expected to reiterate the conservative stance that new gun laws are not the answer. M. Wynn, ABC News, Washington.
Yeah, as just mentioned, the NRA is still planning to hold its annual convention in Texas, but without guns during former President Donald Trump's speech scheduled for tomorrow. The events will take place as scheduled in Houston, just a few hours away from Uvalde. The mayor says the city cannot cancel the convention due to a binding contract with the NRA. However, the convention hall will not allow any firearms from any audience members during Trump's speech. Other confirmed speakers include Governor Greg Abbott and Senator Ted Cruz.
I think the better question is, why would, for example, elected officials be going and speaking at the NRA convention?
The NRA did issue this statement offering sympathy to the victims and families, noting, quote, "As we gather in Houston, we will reflect on these events, pray for the victims, recognize our patriotic members, and pledge to redouble our commitment to making our schools secure. Protests are expected." The Nebraska Republican Party is facing scrutiny this morning over an email attacking gubernatorial candidate Carol Blood's voting record on guns, just hours after the Texas elementary school shooting. Several Democrats have commented on the email, including the Nebraska chair of the party. Blood called out her opponents for November's upcoming election, Jim Pillen, for participating in dirty campaign tactics. The state's GOP executive director said the email was a scheduled communication, not a response to the shooting. The Nebraska GOP's actual response was sent out Wednesday morning, quote, grieving and praying for everyone impacted by the shooting, end quote. Federal prosecutors are urging a judge to reject the latest appeal from former Congressman Jeff Fortenberry, saying his team isn't making any new arguments. And many of those arguments have already been thrown out in the case. The Nebraska Examiner says the motion comes as a sentencing date nears for Fortenberry on June 28th. The same day, Nebraskans will vote on his successor in the U.S. House. He resigned earlier this year after being found guilty of lying to the FBI. Fortenberry's team argues that his false statements were not material in the overall investigation into illegal campaign contributions by a Nigerian billionaire. A Nebraska state law meant to keep poll workers from inappropriately steering nonpartisan voters has kept some from understanding their ballot at all during primary elections. The Nebraska Examiner also reports the Republican Party allows only party members to vote for state offices in the primary, while Democrats and third parties do allow nonpartisan voters. But they must also request the nonpartisan party ballot they want, and if they don't, they're handed one that includes no competitive partisan primary races. Well, a positive sign for those looking to camp at the Nebraska National Forest this holiday weekend. Officials say a portion of the area has been reopened as crews get a handle of the wildfire that's burned thousands of acres since last Tuesday. Officials say the 201 East fire is now 85% contained. Officials say they are now able to reopen the Whitetail Campground and Trail 1114 just in time for Memorial Day. Certain areas of the Bessie Ranger District will remain closed until at least July to ensure safety for those fighting the fire, which has now burned more than 4,200 acres. And in Ashland, a local farm is still recovering this morning after the local crews responded to a barn fire yesterday. The Ashland Fire Department says no injuries to humans occurred, but the family's chickens and goats died in the blaze. No reports on the cause of the fire at this time. All right, send on over to meteorologist Brittany Foster. Is it still raining out there, Brittany?
Well, it was about an hour ago in Lincoln. We did have a few little showers pushing through, but one thing we still have for sure, it's the cloud coverage in Lincoln. Now, I want to show you a live photo of, well, further off to the west, Grand Island. They have sunshine right now, something that we are lacking in the Lincoln area, and you can see Lincoln is just about 65 miles away from the edge of the cloud deck, so we are still really stuck under the clouds, but in a few hours, eventually, we will start to see some clearing. Here's that rain I was just talking about an hour ago. We had some very quick little showers pushing through the Lincoln area as well as around Seward, but those have since dissipated, pushing out. We are drying out, and that'll continue for the rest of the day. And once those clouds push out, we're going to start to warm. Now, take a look at the temperature difference across the state. 70 degrees in Scottsbluff, upper 60s Valentine, 64 Broken Bow, but southeast Nebraska, we are still in the low 60s. That's all thanks to the cloud coverage that is still just kind of sitting over the area. So for now, it's 57 in Grand Island, 47, that's in Fairbury, 51, that's over in the Omaha area. So staying in the 50s for now, but later today, sunshine and 60s, some spots even in the 70s. I'll let you know when a big warm up to the 80s and 90s returns. That's coming up in your full forecast in a bit. Looking forward to that. Thank you, Brittany. Well, it can't be easy to forget that the YMCA is a nonprofit, and Give to Lincoln Day is a huge opportunity for them to continue their work. And Channel 8's Nathan Grieve tells us that goes much further than just being a gym or a place to swim.
This year, the YMCA has a plan for every penny raised during Give to Lincoln Day.
100% of that will be given to our financial assistance program, the Open Doors program, and it all stays here at the Y.
Open Doors is the Y's effort to make sure they don't have to turn away any family, especially the families who need the most help to learn important skills. Swimming, for example.
We offer that financial assistance so that the cost is not a barrier to individuals that might not otherwise be able to afford those opportunities. And we really look at it as a life-saving skill for some of these kids and families and individuals that are going to be looking to come in and get lessons from us.
You're also supporting an important partnership that keeps some of Lincoln's most disadvantaged kids safe and healthy, the community learning centers.
We are able to work with the school to provide that additional educational support for the students, but also we can provide provide support for the families and the kids that go to those schools.
Add in camps, youth sports, and all the other ways the Y helps out, and you've got a pretty decent way to make an impact in Lincoln.